कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमाः। श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेशमनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेतस्ते मे युक्ततमा मताः। ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देशम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थम् अचलं ध्रुवं संनियम्येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धया ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः। क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परम् अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम्। मय्येव मन आदत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवशिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशय। अथ चित्तं समादातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय। अभ्यासेऽभ्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्मा परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि। अथैतदप्यसक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं तथा कुरु यथात्मवान्। श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासाच् ज्ञानध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागस्त्यागक्षान्तिरनन्तरम् अन्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखशमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चय। मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः। यस्मानो द्विजते लोको लोकानो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगे मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः। अनपेक्षा शुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यता सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः। यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान् यः स मे प्रियः। समासक्तौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्ण सुखदुःखेषु समसङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेता स्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः। ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियः। ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता सुपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम द्वादशोऽध्यायः। हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु। शुभं भूयात्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्।
Last week we have stopped at chapter 12, verse number 14. So what we are seeing now in the closing verses of chapter 12, right up to verse number 20, starting from verse number 13 up to verse number 20, Sri Krishna is going to give us the 35 qualities of a true devotee of the Lord. So these 35 qualities is a checklist for all of us to see how we are progressing on the spiritual path. What Krishna is trying to say here is that if we successfully go through all the three levels of sadhana, that means we go through karma yoga successfully, bhakti yoga, and then come to jnana yoga. If we go through successfully all these three phases, there will be a change in our personality. There will be a change in the way we look at the world, the way we deal with our possessions, the way we deal with our different relationships with different people. So all these qualities which are given here reflect a true devotee of Lord who has gone through all the three steps of karma, bhakti and jnana, and what is the nature of such a person. In chapter 2, if you recall, he also gave similar type of qualities as the qualities of a sthita prajna. You remember that chapter 2, the closing 18 verses, Lord Krishna painted the picture of a person who is established in this highest knowledge. Then in chapter 12 again he's going to repeat some of those qualities, and later on in chapter 14 he will also give us similar qualities, but there he says one who has transcended the three gunas. So one who is not affected by tamasic, by rajasic, by sattvic gunas, one who has transcended these three gunas. What is the behavior of that person? It is all similar also in these characteristics of a true bhakta. So let us now look at verse number 15 today. The next quality he speaks about is Yasmano dvijate loko lokano dvijate chaya. So there are two qualities there. The first quality he says Loka na udvijate. The true devotee of Lord is one who is not disturbed by the loka, by the people. You see, even though you are a true devotee of the Lord, it does not mean that you won't meet hostile people, or you won't meet the wrong people in life who are always criticizing you or passing sarcastic remarks. But this devotee of the Lord is not disturbed or not shaken by any of the comments or the hostility shown by other people towards him. Now, why is that? You see, when there is somebody whom we respect, somebody whom we love, and that person gives us some critical advice about ourselves, do we get upset? Do we get upset? If we really love, honor and respect that person, do we get upset? We don't get upset. But if the same advice is given by somebody who we hate totally, we totally hate the person, and that person gives us some critical advice, what is our response? We get very angry, we get very agitated. So a bhakta of the Lord does not divide this creation into who he likes and who he dislikes. To a bhakta, he sees the divinity, the Lord residing in everyone. To him, everyone is equal. There is no difference at all. There is a very famous verse in chapter 5. If you go back to chapter 5, verse number 18, page 107. Chapter 5, verse 18, page 107. There, what does he say? He says, the wise look with the same eye on a Brahmin who is endowed with learning and humility, and a cow, and an elephant, and a dog, and a pariah. Can you imagine from the worst of the worst Lord, the pariah, right up to a Brahmin, this wise person looks upon everyone with, what he says, he looks upon everyone with the same eye. So obviously we are not talking about the physical aspect. It is not that if a Brahmin comes to your house, you make him sit on your sofa and you respect him, you feed him food and all that. If a dog comes to your house, you're not going to make him sit on the sofa, right? So what does this mean here is that this person does not look at the gross level. He looks upon everything as the subtle consciousness that is residing everywhere. And he gives the respect to that subtle consciousness that is residing everywhere. So he can never feel angry, he can never feel offended anytime anybody criticizes him or insults him or says something wrong to him. In fact, who are we even to feel angry if we consider even the sages and the saints have gone through all kinds of criticism, been hurled by abuses by people. Even Lord Krishna, people wanted to criticize him, people wanted to hurt him, wanted to attack him. People like who is this? Duryodhan, and one of his very close relatives called Shishupal actually wanted to even kill him also. So much of hatred shown towards these great personalities. So who are we? But a bhakta of the Lord understands that he has to face these situations, but he doesn't get offended because he sees the divinity in everyone. So first quality is what? One who does not get offended or agitated by the world. Now, some people are not agitated by the world, but they have a very other bad habit. What is that? The world does not agitate them, but they quite agitate the world. Right? In Malay, we have that word called what? Batu api, They like to go and instigate, throw chili here, throw pepper here, and, instigate and create problems for people and like to criticize everyone. But this bhakta of the Lord, he only sees goodness everywhere. He wants to share good things. His thoughts are pure, his actions are pure. He only looks upon how he can serve society, how he can uplift society. So all the good things that he has in him, he wants to share. If he has knowledge, he wants to share knowledge. If he has wealth, he wants to share wealth. If he has compassion and love, he wants to share that with others. So he can never end up hurting anyone in the creation. He always wants to help everyone that he can. So that is the quality of a bhakta. He never looks to divide. He always looks to serve people. So that is the second quality of a person. So this just like, how a devotee of the Lord also doesn't get tossed and turned by the worldly situation. The example is given of a boat which is on the ocean and tossed by turbulent waters. Wherever the waves toss the boat goes there. It cannot be firm. But at the same time, if you look at a lighthouse is also in the middle of the ocean, but it does not get swayed. Why? Because a lighthouse has got a support. What is that support? It is a rock, a solid rock. So to a devotee, what is his support? What is his solid rock support? Huh? What is a solid support for a devotee? Only because he's so immersed in his devotion and love for the Lord, So he can only see divinity everywhere. He can only see goodness everywhere. So the Lord becomes his very solid rock, his very solid support. It is only when we have that supreme devotion to the Lord can we have this quality. As long as we don't have that supreme devotion, we will always be tossed and turned by the world itself. So the next quality he gives here is Yaha Mukta, one who is free, Mukta, from these four qualities. So one who is not affected by these four qualities. What are the four qualities? Harsha, Amarsha, Bhaya, and Udvege. So there's four. They put all the words together. Harsha, Marsha, Bhaya, Udvege. Harsha means joy. Okay, let's take one by one. Harsha means joy. Now, so here it says a devotee must be free of joy. Now, that doesn't mean that a devotee, if you tell him a joke, he says, I'm not going to laugh, I am a devotee of the Lord. No, it doesn't mean that he's always very serious and all. What he's trying to tell us here is that he is not overly carried away by that joy. He's not extremely go and immerse himself in that joy. What is the problem when we extremely go and immerse ourselves in that joy? We get carried away. Huh? We forget the divine through what else? If we get carried away in that extreme joy, that extreme happiness, what is the problem with that? The first problem is we get attached to that very joy. And when we don't experience that joy again, then what happens? There is disappointment. So that is the first problem. So we have to understand, we experience a joy, we be happy for the moment, then you let it go. You don't keep on obsessing about that same happy thought again and again and again. Secondly, when we have extreme joy, we get carried away, it takes away our power of thinking, our rational power. Now there is a beautiful story given in the Mahabharata to explain this very concept. There was a king called Santanu, and one day while he was riding out of his kingdom, he happened to see this beautiful woman called Ganga. Her name was Ganga. He was so besotted with her that he started pursuing her hand in marriage. So she kept on saying no and no and no, but he was so obsessed with her. And then the day he managed to convince her that to marry him, she agreed. She was flooded with joy. He was overexcited. But Ganga told him, I will agree to marry you on one condition. He said, no problem, any condition you want, I'm ready to marry you. Just you have said yes, that's good enough. I'm prepared to accept all your conditions. So she said, I only got one condition. That is, whatever I do, you cannot question me. Whatever I do, you cannot question me. The day you question me, I will walk out of your life. So he said, okay, no problem. And he got married. And then the first child was born. She took that child, walked down to the banks of the river and drowned the child. He was so shocked, the king was so shocked, but he remembered his promise, he cannot question her. So okay, second child was born, she took to the river, drowned the child also. Third child, fourth child, fifth child, sixth child, 7 children like that she drowned. Finally, the 8th child she was going to drown, he said, I cannot take it anymore. I have to ask you why you're doing this. So there's a long story behind it. But the point here is that we have to be very careful. In moments of our excitement, in moments of our happiness, we should not get carried away. So what should we do in order to remain humble in our moments of good times when we have favorable situations? What should we do to remain humble? What should we do to remain humble and not get carried away with the situation? Who should we thank? Thank the Lord. Exactly, thank the Lord. So be ever thankful for all the blessings that He has given us. So in that way we remain neutral, we remain humble also. So that is one quality, harsha. Second is amarsha. Amarsha has got several meanings: jealousy, intolerance, envy, And normally, who are we jealous about? Who are we always jealous about? Everyone. We are always jealous about people who have more than us, isn't it? You're never jealous about people who have less than you. So you're always jealous about people who have more money, more power, more status, etc. So the question we have to remember here is that one thing, everybody has come to this world with their own karma. How much they are going to get, how much they are not going to get, is it determined by us? No matter how much jealous I am of that person, how much I curse them, how much I want to see the downfall of that person, is it going to happen? No, because he or she has come with their own karma. Whatever they are going to get is not going to be more, it's not going to be less. So, when we are jealous, we are only disturbing our own peace of mind. But again, if you look at a true devotee of the Lord, he prays for the happiness of everybody. What is the prayer of a devotee of the Lord? Sarve bhavantu sukhina. May all be happy, may all prosper. He never has any feelings of jealousy at all. He understands that everybody will get what they deserve. And in fact, the Lord also has given a very beautiful promise to all his devotees. In chapter 9 verse, yes, chapter 9 verse 22, page 173. So he's given a promise to all his devotees. Chapter 9 verse 22, page 173. Those devotees, however, who worship me alone, thinking of none else. That means what? Means that when we worship the Lord, we ask for so many things. He's saying you don't have to ask for anything at all. When you worship me, just think about me and make me your goal, your primary goal in life. Then if you ask then, Lord, what about all my requirements, all my needs and all that? So he says here, I myself attend to their wants and needs. Yoga Shema, the Sanskrit word is Yoga Shema, meaning what you need to progress in life, I will give you, right? And what are the obstacles in your life, what are the things you already have, I will preserve for you. So I will make sure what you really need, what you have, you don't lose, and what you need to attain in life, I will ensure that you attain. So what he's telling us here basically is just surrender and leave everything to him. You don't have to present him with a long list of demands and all that. He knows what to give you. So a devotee of the Lord is always praying for the welfare of others. He never ever thinks ill will of anybody else. Third quality to a devotee of the Lord is devoid of is bhaya or fear. So we have to understand the root cause of our fear. Fear is caused by our insecurity. And why is there insecurity? Because we are always seeking our happiness from where? Outside. So what is the nature of the world which we are seeking happiness from? The Lord has told us this in chapter 9 verse 33. The world that we are chasing after, the world that we are running after, what is the nature of that world? In chapter 9 verse 33, he says, Anityam asukam lokam. This loka, this world of objects and people that you are chasing after has got two qualities. One is anityam. Nityam means permanent. Anityam means temporary. So everything that you have in this world is not going to last, is temporary. And therefore, anything that gives you happiness upon its arrival will give you sorrow upon its departure, isn't it? Right? Anything that you get happy by receiving, one day that thing has to go and it gives you sorrow. So he says, not only is the world therefore anityam, it is impermanent, it is asukham. Sukha means happiness. Asukha means it is a very a very abode of sorrow. It will give you distress. What gives you happiness upon its loss will give you sorrow. And what gives you happiness upon its going away will give you sorrow upon its arrival also. So it works both ways also. And the world is nothing but subject to change. So where does our fear come from? When we depend on the world, which is impermanent, which is changing, there will definitely be a sign of insecurity. When I'm proud of my family lineage, what do I fear? If I take great pride, my grandfather did this, my father did this, my whole family lineage is so very what you call well known and all. When I take so much pride in my family lineage, what do I fear? I fear dishonor. When I'm proud of my beauty, what do I fear? Huh? You fear old age. When I'm proud of my wealth, what do I fear? One day I might lose that money, right? Somebody who has got the most security, the house which has the maximum amount of security, poor person or rich person? Who needs bodyguards? The rich person needs bodyguards. Who needs alarm systems and all this? Rich or poor people? Rich people. Insecurity. Everything must be well protected. So, when you take, there is always fear when you have attachment to something. When you have you depend on the world, there is bound to be fear. So, how do we get to what is the source of fearlessness? The scriptures say, Vairagyam eva abhayam. So, bhayam, fear, is caused by attachment. Abhayam, fearlessness, is caused by vairagyam, which means detachment. Detachment means not to give away all your possessions, but not to be dependent on things for your happiness. Another word for dependence is what we call addiction. When you are dependent on something, you have to always have that thing around you. How to know if you are attached to anything? We all say no, we are detached. But how to know if you are attached to something? How do you know if you are attached to something? Whatever it is, whether your handphone, your handbag, your carpet, your TV, whatever it is you are attached to. How do you know when you are attached to something? Huh? When you lose it and it creates a disturbance in you, that means you were attached to it. Or sometimes you haven't lost it, but there is a fear of losing it, and that causes disturbance to you, that means you are attached to that. So that is the easiest sign of knowing what you are attached to. So bhaya is another quality. Next quality is udvega. Udvega means anxiety. Anxiety is always when we worry about the past and the future. Constantly worrying about the past and the future. So there was a Swamiji once, he was talking and trying to explain that why we should not get attached to the past or the future. So he told them, I will tell you a joke now. And he told the audience a very funny joke. Everybody laughed. Then he said, did you enjoy the joke? They said, yes, Swamiji, we enjoyed the joke. He said, then I'm going to tell you the same joke again. So he told them the same joke again. But this time, of course, the laughter was less. And he said, well, you're still laughing, that means you enjoyed the joke. I'm going to tell you the same joke again, one more time. Third time he told a joke, then the laughter was even less, hardly 2 or 3 people laughing. And then somebody got fed up and asked Swamiji, what is this? Why are you telling the same joke again and again? How do you expect us to laugh at the same joke again and again? And the Swamiji says, that is the irony of human beings. We cannot laugh at the same joke again and again, but we can recall the same sad episode 10 or 15 years ago and cry about it again and again. You already cried about it once, you still recall it and cry again and cry again. But you cannot laugh at the happy joke again and again. And that is the nature of human beings. So, Swami Chinmayananda said, our mind is either in the dead past or the unborn future. The future which is not born, we are so worried, and the past which is dead and gone also we keep on worrying about it. But a devotee of the Lord surrenders the past and the future to the Lord and remains in the present. So the Lord says here, the devotee who has these qualities, Saha Priya Me, he is the most Priya, he is the most dear to me, the one who has these qualities. So now a devotee of the Lord should be like a thermostat or thermometer. Which do you want to be, thermostat or thermometer? Huh? Why thermostat? Huh? Thermometer. How many want to be thermometer? Nobody wants to be thermometer. Who wants to be thermostat? Nobody wants to. Which one is better, thermostat or thermometer? Thermometer reacts to the situation around him, isn't it? If it is hot, the thermometer shows hot. If it is cold, it shows cold. That means it is reacting to the external environment. Thermostat remains neutral and sets the temperature for the environment. It never deviates, it never shakes. So one should be a thermostat and not a thermometer. That is the teachings here, that what he is trying to tell us. We move on to next verse 16. More qualities of a true bhakta. Next quality he says is anapeksha. Anapeksha means indifferent to desires or expectations. Now, the first thing when we talk about in any religious class is that you should not have desires, you should not have desires. Then people say, I desire not to come for any more classes. Because how can I give up my desires? Are desires wrong? Are desires wrong? No, yes, no, yes. Is it no, yes? So the answer is here in Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 7, verse number 11. Chapter 7, verse number 11. Page 140. Krishna talks about desire there. He says, I am desire. I am desire. But what type of desire? Which is not contrary to dharma, which must not violate dharma. As long as you have good desires, no issue. It is those desires which violate dharma, that's when the problem starts. So it is said that our desires, what are the right type of desires? It must be free of 5 modifications. I've sent you that in your notes today. Okay, the 5 modifications of desire. If you have desires and they are not affected by these 5 modifications, then your desires are clean desires. So what are the 5 modifications? The first is krodha. Krodha means anger. So what is anger? Anger is nothing but unfulfilled desires. Whenever there is a obstacle to your desire, it results in disappointment, agitation and anger. Depending on the intensity of your desire, and if you cannot fulfill it, the result will be the intensity of your anger. Is it not? So first is your desire. If you don't get what you want, do you get upset? Do you get angry? Do you get agitated? Right? So first side effect of desire is krodha. The next side effect of desire is lobha. Lobha means greed. Whenever we keep getting more and more and more and more, the mind gets so engrossed in everything, it still wants more or less. It always demands more. So we start getting greedy. The more and more we get carried away. So we got to understand, if our desire does not lead to greed, then it's fine, no problem. Lobha. Third is madaha. Madaha is intoxication. That means we get intoxicated with all that we have, the wealth. You know, there's always this question asked, who is a rich man, who is a poor man? What is the definition of a rich man? What is the definition of a poor man? I've said this in class before. I don't know how many of you remember. How would you define a rich man and how would you define a poor man? By their bank balance. A rich man is one whose income exceeds desires, right? A rich man is one whose income exceeds desires. Therefore, a poor man is one who desires exceed income, isn't it? No matter how much you earn, if your desires are always ahead of your income, you will always be a poor man. So the third quality is mada, which means intoxication, which means you feel so proud about what you have. You feel very great about what you have. So intoxication, mada. Fourth is matsarya. Matsarya means envy. You always envy those who have more than you. So no matter how much you have desires, you try to fulfill, you're always envious of those who have more than you. So krodha, oh yeah, the last one is moha. Moha means delusion. What is the delusion? The greatest delusion that we live under is the more desires are satisfied, the more happy I will be. But those people who are satisfied and satisfied all their desires up to that age also, they still are unhappy because they realize they still want to have, they have more desires to satisfy. So it is our fallacy to think that the more desires I have, the more desires I satisfy, the more happy I will be. But that is not the case. So desires, as long as they don't have these 5 side effects, your desires are okay. So another thing about anapeksha is our expectations. Anapeksha also means expect. Apeksha means expectations. Anapeksha means without expectations. So it is our, according to the scriptures, it is our false expectations that lead us to problems. Now example, is sugar sweet or salty? Sweet, right? Now if I expect sugar to be salty and I taste sugar and it turns out sweet, what happens to me? I get disappointed. Why did I get disappointed? Because of my wrong expectations. So if we have wrong, what is our expectation of the world? Our expectation of the world is that the world should give us happiness, isn't it? We always expect happiness through friendship, through relationships, through buying things. We always expect happiness. But what is the nature of the world? Finite or infinite? Finite or infinite? Finite. So how can anything finite give you infinite happiness? It's not possible. When the world is finite, it can never give you infinite happiness. It can give you finite happiness, but our expectation is we expect infinite from the world. So we expect the world to love me all the time. I expect people to love me, to cater to me all the time, to be friendly to me. Is it right or wrong? Wrong expectation. I expect my children to look after me when I'm old. Right or wrong? Wrong expectation. So, when we have the wrong expectations, then there is disappointment. So here anapeksha is one who is indifferent to desires and who doesn't have any wrong expectations in life also. Okay. So the next quality is suchi. Suchi, you can know Bahasa Malaysia also they use suchi, pure, right? Pure. What do you mean by pure? Pure means our thoughts have got to be pure. Our words have got to be pure, the type of words we use. Thoughts pure means we must never think ill of others, must never think bad things about others. Always think goodness, how I can do good to the world, how can I contribute to the world? What have I got to contribute? You know, just few days ago I was seeing this episode of Kaun Banega Crorepati, one who wants to be a billionaire in Hindi. And there was this girl, very young girl, 28 years old. She came to the hot seat. Very sad story. She comes from a village, very poor, born in poverty. She has a father, mother, and an old grandfather to look after. She is the only breadwinner of the family. Okay, So what does she do? She goes around to all the villages in a little motorbike and gives education or teaching to all the girls who are unable to get education because they are all staying in remote areas. They don't have access to education. So she goes everywhere and gives them teachings. Okay. Then at a very young age, she was diagnosed with brain cancer, brain tumor, 28 years old. So she went for a simple surgery, they removed part of it, but they told her that sorry, we can't remove the balance. You have to go to the big city and operation is going to cost you a lot of money, which she cannot afford. But yet, even in that condition, she has come to this show in order to win money to treat her brain tumor. But yet, she is so enthusiastic, she still carries on giving tuition. She hasn't stopped that work. So, her thoughts are very pure, her thoughts are very noble. Despite going through all her personal challenges, she still is thinking about all the places she has to go to and give that tuition to all these girls and all that. Because she wants to uplift them, she wants them to come up in life. So here's Suchi, pure, one who is pure in the thoughts, always thinking what else I can do to improve the welfare of this world, to improve the welfare, because all of us have got something to give. Either we have knowledge, we have money, we can do seva, we can donate clothes, food, whatever it is, all of us have some capacity to do something for the world. So pure at mental level, pure also at verbal level. That means we speak compassionate, loving words, kind words, don't speak harmful words. And third thing is pure at the physical level, always using this body to serve rather than to hurt people, to violently hurt people. We use the body to serve people. So, Suchi. Next quality is Daksha. Daksha means who is dexterous. Now, dexterous means a devotee of the Lord is always very mindful or very alert. What are the things he or she has to do in order to progress on the spiritual path? So, always very vigilant, always very alert on the right. So, I want to go to the right places, I want to mix with the right people, I want to read the right material. Always I want to do things that will take me to my spiritual goal. Is ever vigilant, ever mindful. And that's why one of the very most important sadhana of a devotee is satsang. Satsang is very important because satsang keeps us in the company of the like-minded people who are all going towards the same goal that you are going to. So satsang is one of the very important qualities. What's happened to this mic? Can you just come and adjust this? I don't know what is happening. Okay, I think it's alright. Yeah. Okay, so satsang also is a very important quality, to mix with people of the like-minded thoughts also. So that is daksha, to be very alert on the right type of lifestyle to follow, right people to mix with, right places to go, right materials to read. Next quality is udasina. Udasina means, although it means impartialness means while you are alert on the good practices, you are also indifferent to all the negative things that are being offered in this world. So one side you're alert to all the good things that you have to do, the good actions. The other side you're very careful not to go and indulge in the wrong actions, the wrong activities that will take you for a spiritual downfall. So that is called udasina. And this is so beautifully depicted by Arjuna's chariot, which is parked on the battlefield. On one side are the good Pandavas, on the other side are the evil Kauravas. So this whole thing is an allegorical description of what the chariot represents us, our body. The good Pandavas represent the good qualities which are in this world, and the evil Kauravas represent all the evil tendencies there are. So our duty is to take our chariot to the right direction, our body to the right direction, and keep away from the evil tendencies. So Udasina is one who learns to not to be carried away by all the negative qualities and steers away from them. Next quality is Gata Vyataha, free from pain. So here when we say free from pain means he does not let adverse situations affect his life. So he understands, the bhakta understands there will always be adverse situations. So trying to find positive in everything that is negative. And one very good example is when Lord Rama, he was told by his father the first day that tomorrow you are going to be crowned the king of Ayodhya. I am going to hand over everything to you, crown you the king of Ayodhya. And then the next day he calls him, and what does he tell him? Sorry, some change in plans now. Now you are going into exile for how many years was it? 14 years, is it? 14 years. You are going into exile for 14 years. So all the people around him were shocked. They were all shocked. They said, how can one day you're told you're going to be king, the next day you're told you're going to be going to exile into the forest for 14 years, and yet he was rejoicing. They asked him, why are you rejoicing? He said, I'm so lucky that 14 years when I'm in the forest, I get to visit all the hermitage and the ashrams of all the great sages and saints. I will serve them and I will sit at their feet and gain the highest knowledge from them. So he looked at the adverse situation in a positive way. So even his mother was crying, his brothers were crying, but he made one very nice statement. He said, in the Ramayana is written there, Durlabha hi sada sukham. Sukham, to be happy, sada sukham, to be always happy, is durlabha, is impossible. No human being can be always in a happy state. There will come moments in our life when we have to face the situation. And what is life? Life is nothing but a pair of dualities. So the next quality of a devotee is gatavyataha, free from all this pain. Next quality, sarva aramba parityagi. Sarva, every aramba, every undertaking, he renounces. So we have to understand this. When he says he renounces every undertaking, every action, it does not mean he gives up every action. Because what does the Bhagavad Gita teach us? Perform all your duties, take care of all your responsibilities, don't run away from them. So what does it mean here by Sarva Aramba Parityagi? This devotee undertakes all the actions not for his selfish needs. He never thinks about whatever he does, what is his gain. So there is no sense of doership. There is no sense of doership. Now, if a devotee is not motivated by selfish needs to perform actions, what is it that motivates him? If a devotee is not motivated by selfish needs to do actions, what is his motivating factor? What is his motivating factor? Huh? That means what is right, I do. What is wrong, I avoid. So he is not guided by likes and dislikes. He is guided by what is right and what is wrong. I only look at the action. If it is my duty, if it serves a greater purpose, it helps the welfare of the world, I do it. And it is my duty therefore. So you remember the 5 Pancha Mahayajnas, I won't go through again. I think you all remember, we discussed this about 2 weeks ago. So this is the next quality. Sarva Aramba Parityagi. He renounces the ego, the doership behind every action. His motivation is always pure. He wants to do something good for others. That is what motivates him. Saha Priya Me. The Lord says the devotee who has these qualities is dear to me. Then in verse number 17. Verse number 17 he says, who is the true devotee of God? Yaha na rishati na dvesti. Na rishati means one who does not rejoice. Na dvesti means one who does not fret. Okay. So these are the two opposite situations in life. Either when we get favorable results, we rejoice, and when we don't get what we want, we fret or we complain. But a devotee of the Lord is very careful about these two emotions. Okay. Now, when again a devotee of the Lord gets what he wants, he is always thankful to the Lord. And when he doesn't get what he wants, he is also thankful to the Lord, because of what we call, he has to learn a lesson. Okay, that means when we go through good things in life, we consider this as a blessing from the Lord. When we go through adverse situations, we also consider it a blessing from the Lord to learn a lesson from it. So, a devotee is very careful. He does not rejoice upon whatever he gets. At the same time, whatever he doesn't get also, he doesn't get disappointed or frustrated also. Okay? So, this is what we call why a devotee does not rejoice or get frustrated by the world, because he has already found happiness from the spiritual path. He is already contented within already. He does not have to look for outside world. So sometimes things are available, he's also okay. If they are not available, he's also okay. So you know the thing called UPS. You know what's a UPS? In the IT line they call it UPS, uninterrupted power supply, which means what? When your whole system fails, your computer system, they have this box which is connected and gives continuous supply to your computer, so that all your data is not what you call destroyed. It's called uninterrupted power supply, right? So a devotee also has UBS, not UPS, UBS. What is UBS? Uninterrupted bliss supply. He's got uninterrupted bliss supply. That means his happiness is coming from the Lord. It's not coming from the world. So sometimes we get what we want is okay. It's not there, it's also okay. You know, like sometimes when we are addicted to some things, let's say I must have my coffee at 4 o'clock. I am very addicted to my coffee 4 o'clock. So if you don't get it, what happens? You get agitated, isn't it? But a devotee of the Lord is okay. If it's there, it's okay. If it's not there also, it is okay. So that's the next quality. In fact, if we look at all these situations in life, the first lesson that Krishna gave to Arjuna, the moment he surrendered to him in chapter 2, verse 7, the first lesson that Krishna gave to Arjuna was in chapter 2, verse 11. What is the very first lesson he gave him? The very first lesson he gave him. So chapter 1 is entitled Arjuna Vishada Yoga. He fell into a state of despondency. Chapter 2 verse 7, he surrenders to the Lord. And the very first lesson that Krishna gives him is what? Chapter 2 verse 11, which is on page 30, is it? Page 30. Okay. You grieve over those who should not be grieved for, yet speak like the learned. Wise men do not grieve over the dead or the living. So, the battle has not started yet. The war has not started yet. Yet Arjuna is crying about all these people are going to die. This is going to happen. That is going to happen. So what Krishna is telling him, if they are living, should you grieve for them? You don't have to grieve for living people. And those who are dead and gone, there's no use also grieving for them. Now, allegorically, what does this mean? Dead or living represents again the past and the future. So, neither should we grieve for the past, neither should we grieve for the future also. And this is what people always ask, that Krishna always inspired Arjuna to go and fight the battle. And what was Arjuna's excuse for not fighting the battle? Huh? No, what was his reason for not fighting? he didn't want to kill his kith and kin. So now the question comes is Arjuna right or wrong? He doesn't want to kill his beloved people. He doesn't want to engage in violence. Is it wrong or right of Arjuna, therefore, to walk away from the battlefield? Isn't it good? He wants to avoid violence. But at the same time, is he right? So, when Arjuna is on the battlefield and he says he doesn't want to kill his friends, his family people, his guru, Arjuna on the battlefield, is he an army man or a family man? He's an army man. Army man and on the battlefield, what is his first duty there? Fight for what? Fight for justice, fight for dharma, fight to oppress adharma. So therefore, our duty we have to see is according to time and place. And also another example is given, beautiful example. Supposing there is a family and they have only one child, a son, and he is an army officer. And at that time, the country needs all the soldiers to go to the war front because the enemy is attacking. So this fellow is the only son. He leaves his aged parents and goes to the battlefront to fight. So is it right or wrong? He should be looking after his parents or he should be going to the battlefront to fight? Which is the right duty? Because in life also we always face these two choices in life. Do I do this? Do I do that? So do I stay back and look after my aged parents or do I go and fight on the battlefield? Why?
It's his duty.
Yes, but it's also his duty to his parents. So which duty comes first? So the higher duty always applies. When we talk about higher duty, higher duty is a duty to the country. So I sacrifice my lower duty for the higher duty. Arjuna's duty on the battlefield, his higher duty on the battlefield is to fight for dharma, to establish dharma. He is not there as a relative to protect his other people. And those who are standing on the opposite side are all representing a dharma. So as a soldier, he has to fight them. So one has to be very clear about why Krishna keeps on encouraging him to go and fight, not to abandon his duty. Next quality, na sochati na kankshati. Na sochati na kankshati. That's in verse 17. So, na sochati means again he does not lament or grieve when he loses something. Whatever he has, he doesn't lament or cry over that. He understands everything is temporary. Everything comes and goes according to our prarabdha karmas. So whatever comes, whatever goes, let it go. Second, na kankshati, he does not hanker for things he does not have. Right? And again, as I explained last week, one of our biggest problem is hankering for what I don't have arises because we always like to compare against what other people have. So it is one habit we have to break. Next quality he gives is Shubha, Ashubha, Parityagi. So Shubha means good, Ashubha means evil, Parityagi means one who has renounced both good and evil. Now, this again has to be understood. The word Shubh here represents good actions. Okay? Ashubh here, when you put a in front of it, Ashubh represents bad actions. So this devotee of the Lord, Parityagi, has given up or renounced all the good and bad actions. Both. So now it is easy to understand. If you do bad actions, what happens? If you do bad actions, what happens? You get the karma palam, right? You get the papam. Because you get the papam, what happens? You have to exhaust this papam. So what happens? First you have to go down all that patal loka, right? There you get all the severe punishment there. Then if that's not enough, you come back again to this world and you get born in a poor family with lots of problems, health problems, this problem, that problem, all a result of your bad actions, correct? Now, so papam leads to punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Now, when you do good actions, what happens? You get lot of punyam. Because of the punyam, where you go? Up or down? Up. All the Swarga Loka you go. You know what's in Swarga Loka? You don't know. You should know what you get in Swarga Loka. 24-hour restaurants, shopping malls, everything you get there. So there you go there, you enjoy. Then after your punyam is finished, what do you do? Come back to earth. Then you get a good birth also. You'll be born in a rich family, you'll have good health, good relationship. So we can understand why we should avoid the bad actions. But why even avoid good actions? You see, both create bondage, right? If you do bad actions, it creates bondage of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. You create good actions, you also get bondage of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. But there's a difference in this bondage. Bondage due to papam is like iron chains. Bondage due to punyam is like gold chain, because that one you'll enjoy, that one you suffer. So why should we not also do good actions also? Why should we not do good actions?
Because you don't want to accumulate any, I don't want to accumulate punya.
You don't want to accumulate punyam, so you don't want to come back also. So what is the problem of coming back? Even if you do punyam, you go to heaven, you enjoy, you come back, you enjoy some more here, what is the problem? So you still have to get a human birth, and eventually a human birth also, there is also some suffering involved also. So how to avoid papam, I don't have to tell you, you all are experts at that. But how do I avoid punyam now? I go and give Dhyanam, I get punyam. I do seva, I get punyam. But now this verse says, don't do that, don't do punyam, otherwise you're going to go punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. So how do I do good actions and make sure I don't get punyam? Surrender to the Lord. Always consider yourself as an instrument of the Lord. So therefore you don't get papam, you don't get punyam. The beautiful example was given by Adi Sankaracharya to explain this difference by telling us the difference between a normal seed and a roasted seed. A normal seed, when you plant it in the ground, it will sprout into a flower or fruit or whatever it is. That is good action done with ego. That is like a normal seed. Action done with surrender to the Lord is like a roasted seed. You plant it, it does not yield any fruit, any flower. So therefore we have to be very careful about our actions also. So here he says that this devotee of Lord Shubha Ashubha Parityagi is renounced both bad actions and good actions motivated by the ego. So there is no more punarapi jananam, no more punarapi maranam. So he says here, Yaha Bhaktiman, the one who is filled with devotion, who has all these qualities, is really dear to me. Okay. Verse number 18 now, he goes on with more qualities here. Sama, who is equal-minded to Shatru, to friends, to enemies, and to Mitra, to friends also. So there are a few more qualities. I think we will come back next week, because it will take some time to explain this. We come back next week and complete this last few verses, and then we will start chapter 13 if there is time next week. Okay, we will end with the prayer. Before I end with that, please don't forget, on Monday we were having the Janmashtami program. Okay, the highlight of the program is basically in the night 8 to 12, which is we welcome the birth of Lord Krishna at midnight, and before that the children will put on a beautiful play about Krishna's life. All will be held downstairs in the hall. Okay, then after the play we come upstairs to do the final prayers. Okay, so please do join us. And those who are available in the morning, there's a Havan with all the 18 chapters of the Gita. I think it's from 9 to 12 in the morning. So all that is on Monday. Okay. Then we end with the prayer. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Thank you. Hari Om. 18, 19, 20.